guys, West Coast Taco here, and welcome to the channel. Thanks for tuning in. Today, guys, we're going to go over all of the exterior mods I've done over my Tacoma over the past year and see if I have any regrets. Let's get into it. Alright guys, so today we're going to do a one-year review on all of the modifications and things that I've done to the exterior of my Tacoma this past year. So the first thing I'm going to make mention of for you guys that are kind of new to the channel, maybe you've subscribed within the last few months and you weren't able to follow me, this will kind of catch you up to speed on what I've done. Maybe I'll talk a little bit about what I plan to do, and then, you know, if you guys have any questions, obviously throw them in the comment section. And I would love to hear your 2 cents as well. So if you have a truck and you are doing stuff and you've done things, let me know maybe what you've learned this year about your truck, on what you should have done differently, or what you would have done differently if you would have known before doing what you did. So guys, basically, when I got this truck, this is a 2020 TRD off-road 4x4 double cab lawn bed. And when I got this truck, it came with a lot of the accessories that you kind of already can see from the get-go, like the TRD Pro wheels. It came with the Predator step-up bars. It came with the blackout package. So for those of you who do not know what it is at this point, which would be a shocker, if you have the silver lettering still, it's an overlay that goes on the Tacoma badging on the side of your truck. It has raised letters that go into the stamped tailgate portion. It's got a blacked out overlay for the V6 badge. It's got a black exhaust tip with the little Toyota emblem on it, as well as the matching Tacoma overlay for the passenger side. It came with the LED headlights, which I did have a little bit of an issue with this year in regards to some of the lensing film starting to peel off. But in a video I did, I had somebody sand it off and we put PPF on, and it looks brand spanking new. So quick and cheap, much cheaper way actually than replacing your headlights with something new. Another thing the truck came with is the TRD Skid Plate. However, I did black it out in another video, and I don't even think I ever even uploaded that video because it was just so terrible in regards to the quality. But basically took 2 cans of Herculiner that you would use. It's a spray on bed liner. You can get like in a spray can at like Lowe's or Home Depot. And I did a few coats after cleaning this and making sure all the oil and grease were off of it. And I just thought it really pulled the truck together nicely with my blacked out look with the red TRD accents. Another thing this truck came with that not every Toyota Tacoma comes with is this. That came with the premium and advanced technology packages. And whoever had this truck before me, because I did buy it used, they pretty much got every feature you could get on the TRD off-road. It came with the mud flaps, which are OEM. I really like those. And mud flaps aren't for everybody, especially depending on what you plan to do with the truck. But they keep my truck nice and clean in the back. They keep, you know, stones from flying around. The thing that's nice about this is that there's like a nice little plastic integrated spot that's, you know, in the bottom portion of your bed to kind of help keep rock chips. But I mean, this is going to do the majority of it. Something just happens to bounce, you know, off the ground and up afterwards, you're covered there. But for the most part, guys, when it comes to TRD or just OEM products in general, everything that you could pretty much get, like I said, came on the truck when I got it used. Now, shortly after buying it, the first thing I decided I wanted to do was lift the truck, but I wanted to go with an OEM lift. And I also wanted to go with a heritage style grill for the front. And I was really struggling because there was a bunch of companies I found that, you know, made, you know, aftermarket rip-off TRD Pro grills. And I wasn't finding the one I wanted. The ones that I was finding, the camera just didn't insert in right, or you had to like kind of fabricate something. It just nothing was really looking the way I wanted it to look, and I wanted an OEM finish. I quickly found and learned about the TRD lift kit, and one of the big bonuses for me with that was this grill. Now, I'll do a separate video kind of just going over the TRD lift kit, but basically, long story short, purchased the lift kit, got it installed on the Tacoma, and put the grill on, and once again, another OEM package that I installed or had installed or did a little half and half with, and I thought it came out great, and I think it really pulled the front end of the truck together. Also was a huge bonus that the Toyota lettering in the grill was black and not silver. Also, I ended up installing the Rigid Industries lights Now, when it comes to these fog lights, guys, I'm going to be honest, I'm going to be real. I do not think they are worth the amount of money you pay to buy them from Toyota and have them installed, you know, whether you do it at the factory, at the dealership, or in your garage. But what I'll say is that for me, I was really going for an OEM finish. I knew these were going to fit on perfectly. So what I ended up doing is I bought these, and then I blacked out the Rigid Industries lettering to black to match the Toyota lettering on the grille. Now, when it comes to these fog lights in general, what I'll say about these is that they're much more focused. The beam is much more direct, whereas the original circle fog lights that came stock with this, they had a wider spread of the light. So depending on what you're wanting or looking to do, if you want something more direct, these will work pretty well. And if you want something more widespread, you know, the ones that come stock work just fine. But like I said, for me, this was more of an aesthetic thing. This was something I wanted to do to complete it. And as you can see, you know, some of the finishes here match the finishes that are on the headlights. So tying everything together was important for me. When it comes to my truck, I'm pretty OCD and I'm very particular. And so with that being said, I want everything to fit and look like it should from the factory, or at least, you know, what people might think it would look like. Next, one of the items that I think we typically forget about and we tend to not talk about on a regular basis is this bug deflector. Now, the bug deflector, guys, is something that I don't think is for every single Tacoma. It does a good job of protecting the front of this area, but what I'll say is that the reason I feel like it came out, in my opinion, well on my truck is because it kind of almost matches the paint. Like from a distance, it's almost hard to tell that there's even a bug deflector on here. It almost just looks like my hood has kind of more of like a higher end towards the end of it before it goes or latches into the engine bay area. But I've really liked this. It really gave the truck a much more aggressive front end. It provides protection. Here in Southern California, we don't have a lot of bugs. We don't really run into that issue. But, and even when I spent some time on the East Coast, I never really noticed a huge difference of the bug deflector making an astronomical difference when it came to controlling bugs. But for me, it was more of an aesthetic thing that I thought looked good, and I knew it would protect the front end from potentially getting some rock chips and whatnot from, you know, things that just happen in life. When you're on the freeway or driving around town, there's always things that just happen that we can't control. Just sometimes things are inevitable. So I installed that. I love it. I think it looks great. These are by AVS, and this is, I think, the Bug Deflector 2 in smoke. And then I went ahead and installed the rain guards. Now, rain guards, guys, here in Southern California, it is like December 17th, I think, today, and it is like 78 degrees, okay? We get rain once in a while, but we don't get a lot of it. But I feel like the rain guards, once again, that gloss tied in really nicely with my paint, and I felt like it just kind of gave a nice little extension and kind of completed the look of the windows. I've been super happy with them. I did a quick little video before I even started making videos. I did a little troubleshooting with grinding down some of the corners on the the pillar area for both the passenger and driver side to keep them from snagging. I have a video I did almost 11 months ago talking about what I did, and I explain in as great of a detail as I could for already having done it, but made a big difference. And I really like these, and it just I don't know, it kind of pulls everything together, and when it does rain, it does keep the rain kind of off certain portions of your windows. But for those of you guys that live in rainy areas, I would say it was well worth it. I think if you install it right, you shouldn't have any issues, and you should be good to go, but that's just my 2 cents. Next thing I did, guys, in regards to exterior stuff is I did the Gator SRX cover. I've done several videos on this, and honestly, I could not be happier with this tonneau cover. Even when I wash the truck, water like never gets inside. I've been thoroughly pleased. I mean, you go buy this tonneau cover brand new, and it's like around 300 bucks. I feel like the value is unparalleled. It's held up great. It works great. And the best part about it is when you roll this thing up, it latches here, and I have a video. You guys have probably either seen it or seen the way these work, is that you don't lose any portions of your bed when it's fully retracted. Whereas if you had a harder, like a hard top or a Diamondback or one of the harder tonneau covers, you're going to lose a certain portion of your bed to that tonneau cover because the material has to go somewhere. But since this is a vinyl, It rolls up real nicely, and I've talked to people that have theirs in areas where it snows a lot, and they've had zero issues, at least from what I've heard. If you've had problems with yours, or you know someone who does, let me know. I mean, at some point, obviously, these things aren't going to hold weight forever, but for what you pay for it, for how it looks, and for what it's done on my bed, I really just couldn't be happier with it. It's been a great little gem for me. Another thing I did on the exterior, guys, is I did these Alpha Rex taillights. These things look awesome. They really pulled the rear end portion of my Tacoma together. And what's funny is I'm not a big fan, like I had mentioned, of doing non-OEM products, but I felt like Alpha Rex nailed it with these, and it really just pulls everything together. They look really cool at night. You know, they're a few $100, so they're not the cheapest thing that you can do. But when it came to my truck, with it being blacked out and just kind of having a lot of the black accents and even a little bit of the red accents in certain portions, like with a little bit of that red deflector, I feel like it just really pulled everything together, and felt like it was a nice piece and a nice addition to the truck. So that was a win there. And for the bed of the truck, I have the Tacoma Bed Mat back here to keep things from flying around, and this nice bed divider. Really simple, nothing crazy. This came with the truck. The bed mat did not, but I wanted to get something in here that would keep things from sliding around. This has been great. No complaints here. And guys, this thing is just a lifesaver, especially if you don't use the whole bed of your truck very often and you just keep a lot of objects that you just can't fit or don't want to put in the back of your truck in the cab area. This is great. It keeps things from rolling backwards and flying around, and been really happy. This has been a huge bonus. I didn't even know this thing existed. It just came with the truck, and like I said, if you're looking to get something to keep stuff from flying around and keeping it close to the end, this is a must. This is a good one. Get you guys a better shot of the truck from a distance. So here is the TRD cold air intake. I installed this within a few months of owning the truck. And one thing I will say about the TRD cold air intake, guys, is that every single person, for the most part, that gets into my vehicle always comments, "Hey, what type of exhaust do you have on this truck?" And believe it or not, everybody that pretty much gets in my vehicle either has a Tacoma or has had a Tacoma. And I always tell them the same answer, is it's an OEM stock intake. And granted, I do have that black exhaust tip, but I really feel like, for whatever reason, this cold air intake just gives the exhaust a little bit more growl that the stock Tacoma doesn't get. And like I said, I didn't install this with the mindset of trying to get, you know, this tremendous amount of increase of anything, nor did I expect to. I just thought it was a really cool looking OEM piece that kind of popped under the hood. And I thought it was just a nice looking addition. No more, no less. But for lack of better words, people that drive my truck always seem to think I have an aftermarket exhaust, and I can only think that it's, you know, attributed to this cold air intake and obviously the Overland torque tune. But to me, the exhaust has sounded the same, you know, since I installed this. It didn't really make that much of a different sound after getting the tune, but, you know, maybe it's a combination of everything. That's life. That's how life kind of goes. So the last thing I'm going to really talk about, for the most part, guys, is going to be everything pretty much wheel well down. When it comes to the TRD lift kit, there's always going to be a better suspension system to get for your truck. If you're going to do something really hard on your truck and you're going to be doing, you know, rock mauling, overlanding, or just taking it on really extreme or hard terrain, definitely probably go with a heavier duty setup like a Keen, Fox, Locked. There's just a, you know, the options are almost endless, and you can spend, you know, tens of thousands of dollars on your lift kit and suspension if you want. It just, the options are limitless. But like I said, I wanted an OEM product. I wanted an OEM finish. And overall, guys, I've really enjoyed this lift kit. The only complaint I have with this lift kit is that when it comes to you, or you get it installed, they throw in a 1-inch spacer block and not knowing any better in regards to never really having a truck lifted before, I drove it around for greater part of a year, and no complaints. But when I upgraded that ride quality by installing the Icon Add-A-Leaf, I realized just how much comfort I was missing by running a block versus doing an Add-A-Leaf. And if you want to take it one step further, you can go with the Deaver leaf pack and kind of complete that. But basically, if you guys are going to lift your truck, if you guys are going to go with the TRD lift kit, I would really consider doing the Icon Add-A-Leaf. It just made the ride so much better, and it's kind of more of the legitimate way to go outside of doing like the Deaver leaf pack. Another thing I did, and this is not really the exterior, but it kind of is I upgraded the East Coast gearing supply bushing and installed that where my needle bearing was. And obviously you can't see it, but long story short, if you guys are gonna lift your truck, I recommend going with the East Coast gear supply clamshell bushing. Get that needle bearing out of there. There's a lot of people that have ran their needle bearings on their Tacomas and have had no issues, but I feel like if you're going to lift your truck and you're going to change out the suspension, you know, spend the extra 80 bucks, you're already gonna have the tire and everything torn apart, you might as well just go ahead and do that little step, because it's something that if you don't do it, you might have to do it later. Now you have to go redo and untake everything apart and then, you know, realign and go through all that nonsense. So if you guys can just go ahead and do the East Coast gear supply, you know, clamshell bushing from the get-go, I would highly recommend doing it. And you can install it in a way where you don't have to always get your vehicle realigned, but I would recommend just doing it. It'll probably save you some heartache, and it's just one less thing you have to worry about failing or going wrong. Next, guys, I'm going to talk about the Predator step-up bars. I would say be careful with these, and here's why. 99% of my driving is on blacktop. It's on the street. Freeway, city, around town. I'm in Southern California. We don't have a lot of dirt roads. We don't have a lot of dirt trails. We're not far from them. You know, we're always a couple hours away from going, you know, to the desert or wherever we want to go. It's kind of the beauty behind California. That's one of the few things we really got going for us. Not just our weather, but being able to literally surf and snowboard all in the same day if we want. And not even spend a whole day doing it. But basically, back to what I was talking about is that if you're going to be using your Tacoma to off-road and you live in an area where there's just a lot of, you know, rocks and logs, and you just encounter some rougher terrain, these things have a high probability, and they're well known for getting snagged on the trails and getting torn off or ripped off and creating or causing damage either to your truck and definitely obviously to them, because once they rip off, you know, they're pretty much done. So I would say if you live in an area where you're not planning to off-road much, with very minimal, if any at all, or you drive mainly on the street, I think these things actually work pretty well. They are an OEM product, they are an OEM finish, and I've been very happy with them. Personally, I have. But if you're looking to do some stuff with your truck, you're gonna be limited. I've taken these off the truck before to kind of play with them, and they're super light, they're all hollow, and you know, they're not going to add much weight to your vehicle. Whereas if you do a slider, you're going to be adding some significant amount of weight to your truck for that protection. These are also attached with some 10mm bolts to the rocker panel. They are not attached to the frame. They're just attached right up underneath there. And so without kind of just beating a dead horse here and repeating, if you're looking for a side step that's OEM, and just not even just OEM, but I feel like out of all the side steps I've seen, these are the best looking ones personally, the Predator step-up bars, and they work for me. But like I said, be careful if you plan to do certain things with your truck. It would be a shame for you to throw these on your truck because you said I recommended them, and you catch them on a log or a stump or a rock and they rip off and cause you more damage in other areas, or maybe they fly off and hit another truck or something. There's just a lot of things that can go wrong when you have low hanging things and you're off-roading. It's a recipe for disaster. But as you can see for me, I've got mud flaps on the front and back, and the steps are above the mud flaps. So if I were to ever take this thing off-road, I'm probably taking off mud flaps. I'm taking off a lot of this stuff anyways, because, you know, there's a whole recipe for disaster just up and down this area for things to get caught on or messed up. All right, under the truck, because technically this is the exterior, right? I installed the cat shields here underneath from Tacoma Beast. They were a very simple install for the most part, but they're, you know, does require a little bit of wrestling. But these have been great. No rattling, no issues that a lot of people have seemed to have had in the past. This is a 2020, so thankfully, you know, people that maybe had an older version and experienced some issues, but for me, guys, everything has been really easy. I forget they're even down here half the time. The last thing I'll make mention of down here is I did the drop kit for the bearing there, and just did that because I lifted the truck and wanted to be just extra careful with the whole geometry of the drive shaft. So installed that. That took me all of like 5 minutes. I've got a quick video of me installing that and going through that process. I installed the BF Goodrich KO2s. I've really liked those tires, and these have been just great for me. They are an E-rated tire, so they're heavier, but they are a 265/75 R16. When I got the TRD lift kit, I knew by adding 2 inches of lift, and if my tire stopped right about here, it was gonna look really funny running the Wranglers with the TRD lift kit. Not saying you can't do it, but I just felt like I needed to get something to kind of help fill in the wheel well area. And I wanted something that wasn't gonna rub on the mud flaps or in the front or cause me to have to do trimming. And I did a lot of research and online reviews, and everyone that ran the 265/75 R16 BF Goodrich KO2s said that it was the largest wheel you could run on your Tacoma without having to do any trimming and not have any rubbing issues. And they were right. And after a whole year of pretty much having these on, I can honestly say, I think personally, they look great on the truck. Yes, they're not a 285, but I think they look phenomenal. I think they are a perfect balance. And I personally like more tire than I do wheel. So I wanted to keep the TRD Pro wheels, that 16-inch wheel, but I wanted a tire that was gonna help fill in that wheel well for both the front and back. These did exactly that. And you guys have probably seen a lot of my videos. After getting the tune done on my truck, I'm almost averaging like almost 20 miles to the gallon on the freeway and about 14 or 15 in the city. And I mean, it's just been great. And sometimes it's actually a little higher, probably closer to 18 or 19 altogether on average. I mean, it's just for what I've done to the truck, which I haven't added a ton of weight, but the extra tires, getting it tuned and lifting it, the truck gets me a great amount of gas mileage. And I give the Overland Tailor team all the credit on that one, because without them, I probably wouldn't have this truck still, because I experienced a lot of encounters with the torque converter shutter and just a lot of things that was kind of giving me some heartburn. But getting the truck tuned was obviously the best thing I did to this truck last year. There's no two ways about it. So what to expect from me this next year? Well, guys, what I really want to do is I want to focus on performance. I want to take this truck to the next level. And I'm not going to give too many hints. I'm not going to tell you guys everything, but I wanted to drop that. I'm looking to increase the performance of my truck, but I'm not looking to cause damage, premature wear. I'm going to be hopefully collaborating with some really good professionals, some really good people, and really excited to see where this goes. All right, guys, until the next one. Thanks for tuning in today, guys. Like I said, I wanted to go over all of the exterior modifications and things that I've done to my Tacoma since I've had it. And guys, I'll be doing an interior one next, and then we're going to be kicking off some new modifications for this year. And Merry Christmas to all of you guys. Next weekend is the big day, and it's crazy how fast this year went by. But I want to thank you guys for all of your support. Thank you guys for always tuning in. Thank you guys for commenting. If you have any questions, once again, throw them in the comment section. Always happy to help. Always happy to hear from you guys. Talking to you soon. See ya.